There's no way this is going to work.
I use a lot of jute in my fire making experiments in my backyard. For the most part, I use jute as the basis of some of my tinder bundles. I don't have a lot of trees in my backyard, and I live in suburban Ohio, so it's not like I can walk into the woods and find good tinder material. So I use jute fiber a lot of times. I tend to buy jute in rolls that look something like this. I usually buy it at Hobby Lobby. I can buy maybe a 50-foot roll for $3 or $4 or so. This is some 3/8 inch jute rope. I like to buy this stuff when I'm making a tinder bundle. Usually what I'll do is I'll pull off maybe a 8, 10, 12 inch piece, depending on how big of a tinder bundle I'm going to make. Cut myself a piece off. This is a little bit smaller than what I would normally use, but I just did this for demonstration purposes. I take a length of my jute rope, cut it, and then I unroll it into 3 strands. And then I take each one of these little strands and unroll it into 5 or 6 little pieces each, and I come up with a collection of smaller strands like that. And then what I'll do is I'll lay it on a cutting board or a 2x4 or something. I'll take my camp knife and I'll scrape it up to break up the fibers and fluff it up a little bit. And I end up with something that looks like this. Scraped up, broken jute fibers. I use this a lot for tinder bundle material, but I've been wanting to see if I could use it for fire rolling. I've never used it as a fire rolling fiber. That's what I want to try today. I don't know if it'll work. I've never given it a try, so wish me luck. All right, let's make a jute fire roll. Here's some of those fibers that I scraped up and fluffed up a little bit earlier. I peeled a piece of it off. It's about 5 inches long, maybe 1.5 inches wide. Just some. I just pulled off some, didn't measure it by any means. I'm going to use my filler material is some sifted ashes out of my fire pit. I store it in this little Fireball whiskey bottle. Let's put some down here at the base, maybe a 1/2 teaspoon or so. I've never been too precise about measuring things when I'm doing fire rolling. Pat it in and roll it up. Roll it tight. Tighter the better. And that's it. I think I'm going to make 3 or 4 of these just in case I don't get ignition on the first try. And stay tuned. I'll be right back. And then it snowed. I failed on my first 4 attempts with the Jute-n-Ash fire roll. I stopped to take a break and go make some more. And when I came back outside, it had started snowing, and it hasn't stopped. It's actually now the next day, and it looks like I've got about 5 inches of accumulation. It's time for me to go fire up the snowblower and clean my driveway and do some shoveling. Looks like it's going to be a while before I can get back to this project. we have an ember. Good news is I got an ember. Bad news is still snow on the ground, so I'm not taking this to flame. I'm gonna put it out and I'll share my thoughts with you. Well, I'm not quite sure what to think of Jute-n-Ashes for fire rolling. On the one hand, it works. On the other hand, it was more difficult than most of the materials I've used in the past. Interestingly enough, I got an ember on my very first try several days ago when I was just experimenting down here in my basement. And it was that success that led me to make this video. And today, the ember that you saw was my first attempt working indoors. So on 2 tries, I've gotten 2 embers while I was working indoors where it's reasonably warm. The 4 failures I had outside, I'm wondering if they were because I was working on the cold stones near my fire pit area. I don't know. I just don't know. But the 2 embers that I got successfully required a little bit more effort and more patience, more persistence than with many of the other materials that I've worked with. So the verdict is still out. I'll probably keep trying, see if I can get better with it. I've got plenty of jute twine here in the house, so it's worth my keeping after it. I would notice that I think commercially sold jute twine is treated in a mineral oil type product called jute batching oil. I think that's applied to serve as a preservative during shipping and storage. That may or may not serve to inhibit ignition. Like I said, I got 2 embers on 2 tries indoors and 4 failures working in the cold outside. I don't know how the variables are mixing and matching here. Anyway, Jute-n-Ashes does work. A little more difficult than some of the other materials I've worked with. I'm gonna keep trying, and maybe I'll wait till it's a little bit warmer outside before I try again out near my fire pit. Anyhow, that's all for this one. Sorry I didn't get to make a fire for you, but there's still snow on the ground and I'm not gonna make a flame inside. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.